Hello YouTube, it's Fine here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing another book review. Today we are doing an Oeln review actually, which is kind of interesting. I haven't done this in a while, but today we are going to be reviewing The Shadow of a God. This is written by Derek Holbrook and it's illustrated by Pop, P-O-P, in all caps. And it's published by Novel Horizons, as you guys can see right there. However, I can't find it on their website. I think it's because their website is undergoing maintenance / updates. And I couldn't see it. I couldn't find it. But, I mean, it's there. Eventually, you'll be able to see it. And the demographic here is essentially YA. It's the same thing as a light novel. And the genres here are fantasy, romance, and action. I would also kind of qualify this as an epic fantasy just based on the type of story that it's telling. But, I mean, that might actually do it a disservice because it doesn't do that well at accomplishing epic fantasy. So, I don't know what to say to that, I guess. And adaptations-wise, obviously this doesn't have one, but this might be a good, like, short TV show or a comic book. I think it would work pretty nicely. The imagery that it invokes is pretty good. It's very epic, but it's kind of very horrifying as well. So, I don't know what would be a good medium for that. And yeah, the premise here is basically that Emir, this guy here, lives in a small town that gets raced to the ground by the knights of this kingdom due to some political schemes and some racial profiling and prejudice. Basically, he lives in a town of like animal people, and this human guy just doesn't like them, so he sends a bunch of knights to kill them all. And now Emir has unlocked this dark power due to his sadness and his kind of like struggles with the fact that all of the people he knew died. And then he sets out to change the world, but it seems that there's some schemes controlling him from behind the scenes, right? And yeah, I mean, my general impression of this book is that it's okay. It could have done a lot of stuff better, and really the problem was that it didn't have time to breathe. It's very short, and the focus of it seems kind of unsure, right? If that makes sense. I think the author knows where he wants to go, but I think he missed the way to go about getting there, if that makes sense. So the plotline here is fair. It has a very epic fantasy feel to it, but it has enough light novel stuff in it to kind of feel easy to read. However, I think it moved too quickly. It has this political plotline that it tries to develop immensely fast, but that doesn't work because the politics are intrinsically tied to the world building due to the politics being based on the different kingdoms that all have different abilities and different powers and different types of races and people, right? So this world building also ties the powers of each country into the politics of the country and then into the plot line through the political situation. And the problem is that there's so much stuff that you need to kind of be aware of that the author doesn't explain to you. It doesn't allow you to breathe or kind of like slowly try to piece together. And like that doesn't get built up enough to make the plot line, the political aspect of it, work. So it's kind of like, it's kind of weird. It's like there's this ball and you have a tube and you go through the tube and the tube is clear and you can see all the stuff around you, but you can't understand anything except where the tube passed through, if that makes sense. It's a very odd extended metaphor, but I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. It's basically that it doesn't work correctly. I mean, it's understandable in general. Like, I know what's going on and why it's going on, but I don't feel satisfied with the way the plot develops because it feels too fast and it feels like none of the world building necessary to make me care about this has happened. That's basically it. Characters wise, I don't think that there were that many. Like there's quite a few different characters. Like there's the human king who seems to be the bad guy. There's this group of people that work for him that are all kind of like in this cult. And then there's our main character, Emir. There's Iria, who ties into another kingdom, who is the daughter of the ruling person of that kingdom, and the ruling person is her mom, Aurelia, and she's tied to the other human king. And then there's Lilith, which is a powerful older lolly type kind of vampire person, who's the queen of who's the leader of a different kingdom, who also gets tied in and is connected to Emir. And you see there's like this web of characters, but none of the characters feel strong enough to support that web, if that makes sense. Emir is the edgy god guy. Like, he's basically like the Sasuke, actually, yeah, Sasuke is the best one. He's kind of like this Avenger character, this guy that feels so much sadness about what happened to the people he cares about and wants to change the world because he somehow has a heart of gold and wants to do things, but he has these evil powers. Or, well, evil. And I mean, objectively, I don't know if they're evil or not, but like, they definitely skew visually and aesthetically towards bad. and it doesn't fit. Like, it doesn't jive with this character. Like, I don't know if he's supposed to be an edgy bad guy or an anti-hero or a good guy that happens to be cursed. All three of those options sound good, but I'm not sure which option it is, and so it leads to confusion from the reader. Now, Iria, like I said, is basically the sad girl with guilt. She saw her father die. She thinks it's her fault. She deals with this stuff, and then there's like this hidden secret idea that she has in her head that deals with Emir. But we don't know what it is, and so we just see her being guilty for no reason, and it makes for bad characterization. I think it's supposed to be the big reveal of the next volume, which is like something that Emir kind of figured out at the end, but like, we don't know what it is, so why do we care about what it is, right? And then there's Lilith. Obviously, she's like the lolly character. She's like, everyone talks about her boobies for some reason, or the author mentions it too many times. And she wants Emir to pat her head, but she's also like ancient and super powerful, and she has very cool powers, and she's the leader of this army of people. Very cool, very interesting. She's probably the best character, but she's also like the very stereotypical anime character, so like, it's kind of weak, kind of strong at the same time. And then everyone else is kind of like, this is really not horrible, but not great. There's a lot of like harem anime protagonist type of vibes from Emir. And there's also a lot of harem protagonists, or harem female character stuff going on. Like, a lot of them just kind of like want to jump his bones for some reason, and it's like, why? He literally has nothing to offer. He's poor. He is being forced into this political scheme that he has no idea about. He has stupid ideals that make no sense given his powers and his background. And like, I don't know, there's so many things that are like concerning about this story. Like, it's not bad. I actually did enjoy it, even if it all sounds negative. But like, I don't know, I think that you can tell that this author doesn't have that much experience, or that he tried to pile on too many things into the story without actually first having a good strong foundation for the story to uphold all of those things. And so it kind of suffers a little bit. World building wise, not enough time to breathe. I already mentioned it, but basically the book moves too fast for the world building to make sense. And actually, we don't really have any world building because Emir is already part of this world. Emir and all of the other characters know what's going on, and so you're left just kind of like unsure. Like, I don't know why Iria's people have those like purple chain things that are like Susanos. I don't know why Emir has these tattoos. Well, actually, kind of I do, because it is kind of explained to you, but like in a weird way. I don't know why the human guy hates animal people. I don't know why all of the kingdoms are fighting each other. Like, there's so many questions that are like basic world building ideas that should be explained to you in the first 20 to 30 pages that I just have no clue about, because there's no character that is able to explain them to me. Or there's no conversational aspect in which we get to know all of these things. So, kind of sucks. But, I mean, generally, it was still a somewhat enjoyable read. It was at least very easy to read. There was no problems. with like the pros and stuff like that. So I mean, there's some positives overall. Art wise, it's good, but it feels kind of pixelated. Like let me see if I can show you a picture here. So essentially, the problem isn't that the art is bad. I think the art is actually very nicely drawn, but it doesn't look very crisp. It looks like they zoomed in too much, or that the printer doesn't have enough quality to it, and it makes it kind of not great to look at. It feels kind of fuzzy on the edges. I don't know if this is due to the printer or what. I don't know why, but it doesn't look that great. And it's not noticeable like in video, but looking at it in your hand, you can definitely see the outline, and you can see a lot of squares all over the place. It's not horrible, but like other light novels don't have this issue, so you got to compare them to that. And yeah, for fan service wise, I don't think there's any. There's no art that shows any fan service, and the few little scenes that could be considered fan service that are written are very minimal. There's really nothing much to them in that sense. But I mean, yeah. There's a lot of gore though, and a lot of like evil looking aesthetic stuff. So I don't know, if you don't like that, stay away from this, I guess. Rating wise, it's a 3 out of 5. It failed on the world building, specifically because the politics are important to the plot line, and the politics are not given enough room to make sense and be important. But I mean, it was still okay. It was an easy read. I would read book 2. But contingent on the fact that Novel Horizon sends it to me, I don't necessarily know that I would go out of my way to buy this personally. But this is not necessarily because I dislike the volume, but rather because there's so many more things that I know that have a better rating for me personally, like that I want to read, that something like this, it just doesn't appeal as much to me because I don't really have the patience for it, I guess. Because I have so many other things to read that I'm more invested in, if that makes sense. Do I recommend it? I mean, sure. I don't think I would ever not recommend a book unless it was like completely shit. But this is not that bad. I mean, it could be better. It could be a lot better, but it's generally okay. It has enough stuff there that is enjoyable. If you like edgy main characters, this one will be pretty good. If you like main characters that, although have like this edge to them, are pretty nice, this one is pretty good. If you like secondary characters that have like harem female character vibes, this one's for you. And a lot of this sounds like it would be enjoyable to me, but to me, the most important thing is world building, and the world building here failed for me, so I don't like it as much as I would otherwise. I can't think of any similar titles, and I mean, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't really have anything else to say, so leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and see you guys later.